What if the greatest obstacle standing between you and your strongest self isn't the world, but the parts of yourself you've spent your entire life trying to hide? According to Carl Jung, every human being carries two versions of themselves. The one they proudly show the world, and another that remains buried beneath the surface. One is accepted, the other is rejected. One feels safe, the other feels dangerous. Most people spend their entire lives trying to strengthen the first version while pretending the second one doesn't exist. Jung believed that was one of the greatest psychological mistakes a person could make. Because the qualities we reject don't simply disappear, they wait, quietly influencing our choices, our fears, our relationships, and our confidence from the shadows. For Sigma females, this hidden side is even more important. Why? Because Sigma females are naturally independent, introspective, and resistant to social expectations. They often spend much of their lives feeling different from everyone around them. But being different isn't what makes a Sigma female unstoppable. What makes her unstoppable is what happens when she stops running from the parts of herself that society told her to suppress. Carl Jung called this process individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming psychologically whole by integrating every part of your personality rather than denying it. It isn't about becoming someone new. It's about becoming everything you already are. Today, we'll explore Jung's secret to becoming an unstoppable Sigma female. More importantly, you'll discover why the strongest Sigma females aren't the ones who hide their darkness. They're the ones who learn to master it. Let's begin. 1. She stops living for approval. Carl Jung once wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Simple words. Yet for many people, they describe the hardest challenge they'll ever face. From childhood, most women receive countless messages about who they're supposed to be. Be agreeable. Be polite. Don't be too ambitious. Don't be too emotional. Don't be too quiet. Don't be too confident. Eventually, many women begin living according to other people's expectations instead of their own inner compass. Jung referred to the version of ourselves we present to society as the persona. The persona isn't fake. It serves an important purpose. It helps us function socially. The problem begins when we mistake the persona for our entire identity. Many people become prisoners of the image they've created. They become terrified of disappointing others, terrified of criticism, terrified of rejection. The Sigma female who becomes unstoppable eventually realizes something profound. If your happiness depends on everyone's approval, then your life is no longer your own. She begins making decisions based on values instead of applause. Some people misunderstand her, others leave. But for the first time, she's living honestly. And psychological freedom always begins with honesty. Perhaps no concept is more closely associated with Carl Jung than the shadow. The shadow isn't evil, it's simply everything you've rejected about yourself. Your anger, your ambition, your jealousy, your competitiveness, your selfishness, even your confidence. Many women are taught to suppress these qualities because they aren't considered socially acceptable. But suppression doesn't eliminate them. It only drives them into the unconscious. Jung warned that whatever remains unconscious eventually controls us without our awareness. Think about someone who insists they're never angry. Often that anger eventually erupts in unexpected ways, or someone who constantly avoids conflict. Eventually, resentment builds beneath the surface. The unstoppable Sigma female does something different. She acknowledges her darker emotions without letting them control her. She admits when she's angry. She recognizes jealousy instead of pretending it doesn't exist. She accepts her desire for power, achievement, and influence without feeling ashamed. Ironically, accepting these emotions gives her more control over them, not less. The shadow loses its power the moment it's brought into the light. 3. She stops apologizing for her independence. One of the defining traits of Sigma females is their love of independence. Unfortunately, independence is often misunderstood. People mistake it for arrogance, distance, coldness, even selfishness. For years, many Sigma females wonder whether something is wrong with them because they genuinely enjoy solitude. Jung would argue the opposite. Periods of solitude are essential for psychological development. Without silence, it's almost impossible to hear your authentic inner voice. The unstoppable Sigma female eventually stops apologizing for needing time alone. She understands that solitude isn't loneliness. It's restoration. It's reflection. It's where creativity develops. It's where intuition becomes clearer. She no longer feels guilty for protecting the space that allows her to grow, because she knows that constantly abandoning herself to satisfy others ultimately helps no one. 4. She learns to trust her intuition. Jung believed intuition was one of the primary ways human beings perceive reality. Not magic, not supernatural powers, but an unconscious ability to recognize patterns that logic alone may overlook. Sigma females often describe having gut feelings they can't immediately explain. Sometimes they sense dishonesty. Sometimes they anticipate outcomes long before others. Sometimes they simply know something feels wrong. Many ignore these instincts because they're difficult to justify logically. But the unstoppable Sigma female learns something important. Intuition isn't meant to replace reason. It's meant to work alongside it. Instead of dismissing every instinct, she becomes curious. She asks herself why she feels uncomfortable. What subtle information has her unconscious mind noticed? By respecting both intuition and logic, she begins making remarkably balanced decisions. 5. She stops fighting her authentic personality. One of Jung's central ideas was that psychological suffering often comes from trying to become someone we were never meant to be. How many people spend years forcing themselves into careers they hate? Friendships that exhaust them? Relationships built on pretending? The Sigma female becomes unstoppable the moment she stops performing. She no longer pretends to enjoy constant social interaction. She no longer hides her intelligence to make others comfortable. She no longer minimizes her ambitions. Authenticity doesn't guarantee universal acceptance. In fact, it often reduces it. But it dramatically increases self-respect. And self-respect creates a kind of confidence that external validation never can. Many people associate kindness with avoiding conflict. Jung saw things differently. Growth often requires confrontation. The Sigma female who refuses every conflict eventually becomes someone who tolerates disrespect, who sacrifices boundaries, who abandons herself to keep everyone else comfortable. The unstoppable Sigma female learns that saying no is not cruelty. Walking away is not failure. Defending herself is not selfishness. Healthy conflict protects healthy relationships, because people who truly respect you will also respect your boundaries. Carl Jung believed that suffering often becomes the doorway to transformation. Not because pain is inherently good, but because adversity forces us to confront parts of ourselves we'd otherwise ignore. Most Sigma females have experienced betrayal, misunderstanding, rejection, isolation. The difference is what they do afterward. Some become permanently bitter, others become wiser. The unstoppable Sigma female asks different questions. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" she asks, "What is this experience trying to teach me?" Every disappointment becomes information. Every failure becomes feedback. Every heartbreak becomes an opportunity to understand herself more deeply. That mindset gradually transforms wounds into wisdom. 8. She accepts that not everyone will understand. One of Jung's most liberating insights is that individuation naturally separates you from the crowd. As you become more authentic, fewer people fully understand you. At first, this feels lonely. Eventually, it feels peaceful. The unstoppable Sigma female stops trying to convince everyone she's a good person. She stops explaining every decision. She stops defending every choice. Instead, she lets consistency speak for itself. Those who understand her stay, those who don't eventually leave. And she's comfortable with both outcomes. Human beings love simple labels: good, bad, strong, weak, introvert, extrovert. Jung believed real people are far more complex. The Sigma female can be compassionate and ruthless, gentle and assertive, emotional and logical, independent and deeply loving. She stops feeling pressured to choose only one side of herself. She embraces contradiction because contradiction is part of being human. Wholeness is always more powerful than perfection. Finally, Jung believed individuation never truly ends. There is no final destination, no point where you've completely figured yourself out. The unstoppable Sigma female understands this. She continues learning, questioning, reflecting, growing. She reads, she challenges her beliefs, she examines her fears. She remains curious about herself instead of assuming she already knows everything. Growth becomes her lifestyle rather than a temporary goal. That continuous evolution is what makes her impossible to stop. Because while others cling to certainty, she embraces transformation. Conclusion: Carl Jung's greatest secret wasn't about becoming fearless. It wasn't about becoming perfect. And it certainly wasn't about becoming someone society approves of. His greatest secret was this: wholeness is more powerful than perfection. The unstoppable Sigma female isn't unstoppable because life is easy. She isn't unstoppable because she never doubts herself. She isn't unstoppable because she has no weaknesses. She's unstoppable because she stops fighting herself. She accepts every part of who she is. Her strength, her vulnerability, her confidence, her fear, her light, and her shadow. Because once a woman no longer wastes energy pretending to be someone else, she gains something extraordinarily rare: inner freedom. And according to Carl Jung, there is no greater source of psychological power than becoming the person you were always meant to be. If this message resonated with you, let us know in the comments. Which of Jung's ideas changed the way you see yourself? And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more psychology, Carl Jung, and Sigma female content. Thanks for watching.